Hey guys, and welcome to another video from Genshin Chronicles. Today we are going to be looking at 5 tips for beginners coming to Genshin Impact so that you can hit the ground running and become the best travelers that you can possibly be. Now we're going to keep this pretty surface level so that you guys that have just came through the door of Genshin Impact will understand everything that I'm talking about. So first of all, I'm going to show you something that you should definitely not sleep on. This is tip number 1. You want to make sure that you use this thing here. This is the Adventure Handbook, and you may be thinking, but it doesn't have a lot to offer me. Well, that's not actually true. If I skip my way back to chapter 1 and have a look at the rewards, the little rewards that you get along the way, such as 100 XP and 500 Mora, sure, that's not something that's particularly desirable. However, it is a little bump in XP, which is great. You do get some artifacts and you do get some Mora, which is great. It's not very hard to achieve these things. 3 waypoints, visit a shrine level 7, 15 chests, and upgrade it to level 2, so you need to find some amino cullis. All very attainable. You could do that in the space of maybe 20 minutes to half an hour. And if you do that, you will get your hands on some artifacts, some hero's wit, some Mora, and 50 Primo Gems, which is the real star of the show there. And as you can see, you're always getting Primo Gems for doing these things. And for the most part, these are really easy things to get done, such as hunt down a Cairo Abyss Mage, cook 5 dishes, enhance a weapon to level 10, all very easy to do in the early stages of the game, where the game is throwing lots of resources at you. And you can keep doing this up until I'd say about chapter 5, at which point things start to slow down a little bit with the Adventurer's Handbook. But by this point, you should be well set and on your way to getting a good team together, and you won't necessarily need to rely on it too much. But for those early chapters, make sure you use your Adventure Handbook. Tip number 2 is you're going to need to learn about the pity system in Genshin Impact. So you should be familiar with this screen already. This is the wish screen, and this is where you get to wish on characters, weapons, and various other things that you will need to gradually acquire to become better, stronger, and faster in Genshin. You have your standard wishes, and then you have your character event wishes, as well as your weapon wishes. These two are always on this screen and will never go away, whereas these two, or sometimes just the one, will eventually go away, in this case in 19 days time, as you can see just at the bottom left of that card. Sometimes you will not get the most out of your wishes if you just spend them willy-nilly and you don't think about the quantities of wishes that you make. This is because there's a pity system in Genshin. Now let me run through that for you. How that basically works is, if you spend 10 wishes, you will be guaranteed at least one 4-star item. And if you spend 90 wishes, you will be guaranteed a 5-star every single time. So what that means is, if you're doing that with standard wishes, this one will never go away. So you can basically spend all of your normal wishes as you want. Whenever you're spending on character wish events, that's a little bit different. So let's say that you have wished on Raiden Shogun here, and you have done 87 wishes, and you still haven't got them, you still haven't got a 5-star, the event goes away. That means you were 3 wishes away from potentially getting Raiden Shogun. Now, it's not a guaranteed thing, but it's pretty likely that you could get Raiden Shogun if you get a 5-star character or a 5-star weapon or whatever it happens to be. So keep a track of how many wishes that you've spent, because if you spend 9 wishes and you don't get that 10th one, you miss out on a 4-star guaranteed. Same thing with the 90. You don't want to spend for the sake of spending. Make sure you spend smart. Tip number 3 on the character screen, and this is because I want to explain just how scarce resources can get within Genshin Impact. Once you get through those early stages, the game has stopped holding your hand and all of a sudden you're left to fend for yourself. So you'll see here that I have characters that are up at level 80, some are level 70, some are level 60, and they are essentially my strongest fighters. Now you would be thinking, well, you've got lots of characters there. Are they all going to be at that level 80, level 70 sort of range? No. I've got plenty of them that are down at level 20 and lower. And the reason is because there aren't enough resources to level up every single one of these characters. It's simply not feasible unless you put in a huge amount of time. So what you want to do as a beginner is pick your 4 team members that you want to really focus on. In my case, it would be the Traveler, it would be Zhang Ling, it would be Zhongli, and then Barbara as well. And sometimes I switch out Kaya, sometimes Venti, sometimes Vishal. But they are my main team members, and everyone else is kind of left to the side simply because there aren't enough resources to get all of these guys up to where they need to be. So what you want to do is essentially use all of these very, very wisely. These are your adventure books like Hero's Wit, Wanderer's Guides, and adventure books, and what they do is level up your character. They will become scarce as time rolls on, so just be careful how you use them and pick team members wisely. Ultimately, what you want to do is have at least one of every kind of elemental. So you've got Amino, you've got Pyro, you've got Geo, you've got Hydro, you've got Cairo, and so on. And the good thing about having Traveler as your leading party, especially as a beginner, is as you unlock new areas of the map, you can change them to Geo, you can change them to Dendro, you can change them to Electro, whatever works for you. So they're pretty flexible and they can be a real asset to you in those early stages of the game. And then just a little bonus tip. If you have someone that is down at level 20 and you're thinking, is there any point in rising them from 0 to 20? Well, I've done all of these characters like that on purpose. And the reason is because if you're raising them to level 20, you get a free wish for doing that. And then after that, you don't get another one until they're level 50. So there's a real difference. Level 20 is so easy to attain. The Ascension materials tend to be very easy to attain as well. So just be sure that you grab that whenever you get a new character. But other than that, you want to keep them at level 20 unless you plan to use them. Tip number 4 is going to be centered around Ascension and Ascension material. So you want to be aware of what characters that you're going to use. If you listen to tip 3, you'll probably know which ones you want to focus on now, but you need to know a lot about how to raise their level. And you need to know that because you will not be able to ascend them without getting the proper materials. In the case of the Traveler, for example, if I want to raise their amino stats, I have to get Windwheel Aster. Now that is an Ascension material and these change from character to character. For example, if I want to do Zhongli, I will need Core Lapis. If I want to do Xinglang, hold on, I will need Guyan Chilies. So it just changes from character to character and you need to be aware of what you need. Then comes the tip. You want to make sure that you gather these each and every day that you can. Just making sure you have a passive source of these just in case you need them. So for example, if I'm going for the Traveler, I'm going to go over to here. This is a known space where you can get the hold of Windwheel Aster, as you see. And you can just grab these, put them in your pocket, and you can keep them for when you need them. And this will be the same for various other characters. For example, if I want to do Kaya, I will need Calla Lilies, and to get Calla Lilies, I will have to go over to Springvale and grab them. And I'm pretty sure I grabbed them already today, so that's why there's none on the edge of this pool, but that is where they would be. And then if I wanted to do Venti, I would go to Star Snatch Cliff. This is where I can get Cecilia's, and the list goes on. You just need to be aware of where you can get the hold of them, and you need to be aware of what Ascension items you need. If you need to know more about that, best check out a Genshin interactive map and you can mark out the things that you need. Lastly, we're going to do tip number 5, and we have went over to the Statue of 7 in Mondstadt to do that, and we're going to talk a little bit about stamina within the game. Now, whenever you start the game off and you try to climb a cliff, you'll immediately realize that your stamina bar just isn't long enough to allow you to do that consistently. However, you'll see here that I'm sprinting around and my stamina bar is looking pretty healthy. And that's because I have went around the map and I've gathered a lot of oculi. Now you may be wondering what oculi are. They're little collectibles that you find around the map that allow you to worship the Statue of the 7. So let me show you what that is. You worship the statue and you can give it all the oculi that you find and it will give you rewards along with an additional bump to your stamina bar. And these are what they look like. And if you find that, you'll be able to improve your statue. And therefore, you'll be able to improve your stamina bar. It's an essential thing that you need to do to make sure that you can run, traverse the world, climb things, and just generally be a bigger, better, stronger traveler within the game. So don't sleep on those oculi. What I would do is head out to your map, and you'll see here that I've marked the vast majority of the map with these little markers here. This is the position of all of the amino colors in the game. So just dot your way around the map, try and find these, and then as you find them, just take them off. And you can gradually work your way through. However, I would say an interactive map might be a little bit better than what I have here, but this is just to give you an idea of how many there are in the game and how easy they are to find, because this area is open to the player very quickly. But there you are, guys. That is my 5 beginner tips on how to hit the ground running in Genshin Impact. I've been Callum, this is Genshin Chronicle, and I'll see you next time.